Hi, this is Abdurrahman Gilal. In our previous presentation, we've been learning about programming and the fundamental concepts of programming languages. For instance, why do we have so many programming languages? And based on what criteria one should be selecting programming language. And we also learned about the object-oriented paradigms, what are the key features or concepts of object-oriented programming and why it is good for us. So in our today's presentation, I will be trying to explain that how one can be implementing object-oriented paradigm into any programming language. So I will be using Java as a programming language. But just to give you a quick understanding that what we learned that object-oriented programming is basically surrounded by object. So definitely we have to understand what is object. Object is any entity, concept, or any abstraction that is having some meaning or is meaningful for software system that we are going to develop. So it could be a human, it could be a place, it could be animal, it could be anything. So whenever we talk about object, usually objects are having their identity or having their data, which is like state, in other words, and their behavior, the actions. So I give you an example once again that, for instance, I am as a human is my class name or my object name. So my name is Abdul, my last name is Rahman, my phone number is 12345, my email address is arahman@fio. So these are certain values that I always carry with me. So this is called my value. And then what is my behavior? I eat, I drink, I talk, I teach. So these are my behavior. So keeping this in view, that every object will be having these three things. So let's say we also discussed that it is not easy for us to actually look for each class and then we develop based on one's properties. So it is easy for us if we can create some, a template by which someone, if they want to use, they should use based on their own desires. For example, the Grace may fill if I put just a name here. So what is your name? Then Grace can put her name, or if anyone wants to put, so everybody will be putting their name. So that is what we call a class in programming language. So class is a template for a group of objects that share a common set of attributes and operations. So attributes, you say the values or the properties, and the operations, you say the methods, right? I am sure that you have learned something about class and operations and attributes in programming one, but I'll try my best to give you a basic understanding of this in this quick presentation. So in order to implement in programming languages, we have to create class first, then we go for the objects. So we don't create object first and then we create class. So it is always other way around. So we create the template first and then we create the object, and these objects are sometimes called instances. So if you see instance, it's the same thing as an object. So we'll quickly see this that this is just a structure, that a Kate is a class name, and then these are some attributes. So how do we store attributes using some data types such as integer, float, string, and so many. And what is method? Method is always coming with some actions. So let's say A, B, C, and then you have parentheses. Remember this, that anything we will be having the parentheses along. So let's say this is just a class, and then in order to use that, so if someone has a kid called name Oscar, so Oscar, these details will belong to Oscar object or instance. So same class or same template can be used and filled by the other Kate, which is Luna, and she has this is our information. So let's quickly see that how we can implement using Java concepts. So in order to develop, this information, oh, sorry, this class, I will be majorly using, I will be using IntelliJ IDE. You can use any compiler in order to just quickly develop this, class. So let's say, let's quickly develop the class. So what we do is that we just give a name to the class. So I say main is the name of the class. Okay, so in IntelliJ, it is easy for us to map that this main.java file has to have this, class name. If we don't have that, then we're gonna face error. For instance, if I say main1, so you're gonna see if I run, I will be having error because this name, file name, has to be mapped with the class name. So in order to create a class, usually you have to use some access modifier, what is public, what is private. We already discussed shortly in our last presentation, but just quick understanding that the public means this everybody can use it even within the package or within out of the package. So let's quickly see that if it works fine with us. So let's say I am gonna create another important function that compiler will be looking for. So the public static void main, and there you go, a string. Sorry, yep. And I can put args or arg, it's up to me. And I will put system.out.println, and I can say hello world. So this is just a quick understanding that if it works fine or no. Let's run it. Yep. So we're gonna see that this works here. So that means this coding, this compiler runs my code. So I am gonna make a class that is a cat class. So what I'm gonna do is that I simply go and create here a class, class cat. And as I told you that I will be storing some details like what is the cat name. So it should be a string. What is the cat gender? So it should be also a string, and what should be the age? So I make it integer. So that's it. I am not gonna do anything else in it. So I'm gonna just keep it like that, and I'm gonna see like if my class can be used or not. So if someone wants to see what are the values, so I'm gonna create a method which actually shows me the details. Oh, sorry. So the details, let me void means I do not give anything to it and I do not get written out of it. I'm just going to see like if it shows me the details of my cat. So your cat name is, let's say I put here, what is the name variable here? We got the cat name, so I just put it here. So in order to just, make sure that I do not make any problems. So what is my gender and Kate age. So instead of writing age here, sorry. So this is anybody who it calls, basically it gets this. So now for the time being, I am going to assign them default, a value called default. And if I do not even assign, they will also get the value called default. But let's say I'm gonna just make it a quick understanding for us. So this is the class is ready. And now how will I be using that class? So in order to use the class, that is a very important thing to understand here. We have to create its object. This is what we discuss. So class is a template and object is an instance of the class. So if anyone wants to use that class, uh, has to create the instance. So there are some ways by which one may not be directly one may be directly using the class properties or methods, but we will be discussing them later. But right at the moment, we have to learn that how we can use the class using objects. So now first thing that we have to do is to keep the name of the class in order to create the object. So I remove this because this is no more use for us. So let's bring it up here. Sorry. Okay, so what is the name of the class? Class is up there, and now I have to create my own instance. Sorry, identifier. For instance, a string is the data type, and cat name is the identifier. So if I want to call the values that are stored as a string as a name, so I will be using this as a identifier. Otherwise, it's not easy for us to locate into the memory. So now, which identifier I am going to give to my object? So I have to decide. I say my cat is my object. And basically here you say a string and then you give name. But here I say Kate is a class and then my name. So same thing, right? So what should be in it? So I should say new and I put the cat. So this actually creates object. This new keyword creates an object, and Kate is the special method that is called construct. What is construct? I will be explaining that particular topic in another video, but just to quick understand that a constructor is a specific method that helps us to create the objects. So just simply understanding, sorry. So let's say now if I have my cat ready, so I now can use anything that is in the my cat. So my cat has these information that is called cat name, gender, age, and this method. So let's display the method. So if I run this, what I expect that it should be actually having this value or these values, right? So let's run it. So okay, there is an error, which means we are making some problem. Uh-oh. So it is having problem here that we are saying cat age, and I am calling here just age. Better I Kate age. So that's it. It's okay. So you're gonna see that the value that is coming now is default, and 0. So which means that I call this method successfully and these values are there. So now what if I want to change the values? So this could be another question. So if I want to change the values, so usually I can take input from user, or I simply can put my details here. Let's say my Kate dot Kate name is equals to, let's say, me, or I put let's say Kate gender. Kate gender is, sorry, it has to be in the parentheses, otherwise it will create error. Okay, because we know that string has to be in double quotation. So let's say 2. And now I call the same method. That is this display details. So let's run. Now first, when I was calling, I did not change the values in this main method. And later I changed it and I wanted to display. So let's run it. So there you go. So the first one is you're going to see that default, and 0, and then we have me, female, and 2. So the same thing that if you want to now get the things from, let's say, from the user, so how you actually get the input from user, you know that you have to import a package called java.util.scanner. So this is actually predefined package which helps us in many ways, but let's say we are going to take the scanner. That is, scanner is class which helps us to receive the values from console or from files from anywhere. So if it's a class, which means we have to create the object. So let's say I am saying scanner. Okay, it's coming. You're gonna see that it's coming from Java utility. So scanner, sorry, what's okay, that's my bad. So scanner dot, sorry, scanner. Now what name I'm gonna give to the scanner? I'm gonna give name to the, like, scan is my name. So what I'm gonna do is that the same thing, that I'm gonna keep the scanner here and the method of scanner, which is the constructor method. And so now I can use scan, and everything that is in a scanner class can be accessed by this. So instead of directly putting the values here, I can call scan dot next line. We know that we can use next line to collect the input from the user. One mistake I made here, that I have to define what type of input actually I am going to collect. So it is int, which means that I am going to take input and on the file. So next line is going to help me to actually receive the line input in the console, which means in this running environment. So So let's say this one is replaced with this, and if you got integer, so you should be using next int, right? So next int and then the same thing. So now this program is a little bit dynamic, which accepts the values from the user. So let's run it. So let's run. So first is default 0, which is very clear, but we did not let any messages display that please input your gate name or something. So better we should write that first, then we can come up system.out.println. What is your gate name? So it is good a practice that leaves some comments for users so that they are not lost in the code. Otherwise, everybody will be not intelligent like you guys. So let's say I say cat gender and Kate age. So what is your Kate's age or what's your gender, Kate's gender? So everything remains the same. And now we run again. So let's, sorry. So, okay, run again. Yeah, okay, stop and run again. So what is your kid's name? My kid name is Me. And what is her gender? Definitely she is a female. And what is her age? It is 2. So now you're going to see that the same thing happens here. So quickly, we saw that in today's quick session that in order to create object, you should create class first, and the class may have some predefined values, and you can replace them if you can create the object. We have different ways to do these all things, but for the quick understanding, we can say like that. So is it necessary to create 2 classes in one file? I would say no, we can still create because we got 2 classes, so we can create another class which we name the same like cat. And there you go, we can now copy this or cut from here and we paste here. In here, I can make it public. As I told you, in one file, we cannot have 2 public. So, but here I can make it public because I don't have anything else. So will there be any different, like if I run this? So absolutely not, because we are still using the same package and we got a public, we have made the object of it, so we can do it any way that we like to use it. So what is the benefit of it? Let's see. Now that's it. So what if I have another class, which is called, let's say, main again. So this is my another class. So main again and main are 2 different classes. So now I'm going to call this same class in here. So let me quickly just grab the content, and I simply change a little bit here is that in order without displaying this. So if I use this main class, which basically displays or calls the method display details 2 times, but this main again just calls once. So remember, main again has to be the same name, otherwise we will have error. So now I'm going to run this class to see if it is being called by the this get class being called by the main again or not. So let's run it. So yeah, there you go. We do not have any now default values coming here. So let's say it's me and female and 2. So that's it. And if I run this code, so this one will actually still be calling the default values. So that's all. We quickly learned that in order to create a class, you should be using some keywords, which is called class, and then put the name of the class, and then we have parentheses to create the body of the class, and then you can create some fields, we can assign some values, or you can create some methods, but these are not by default used anywhere unless you call them in any other class or you make their object. So let's say in here we create the object of the class. How to create the object? It is very quick and easy, like we create the variables. So we say Kate, so this name and this name is same, and then you put your own name that you want to call the call identifier, and then you use new and cat, which is called the constructor method. So new and get parenthesis or get method will be actually creating your object. So once your object is ready, you can now call any property or any method of the class by just pressing the dot. So that's all. If you got any question and if you got any confusion you want me to answer or you want me to discuss with you, please do not hesitate to leave me a message or comment. I will be happy to answer your queries. Thanks again.